All right, it's the first show here on Monday night in February. That means the season's moving right along. That means that we're into the back half of Mountain West Conference play. Welcome, everybody, to Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show. Brian Roth with you, and we'll talk some college hoops here tonight. We'll start with the Colorado State women with head coach Kristen Holt for the first half hour, and then we'll be joined by Tim Miles for the second half hour and talk some Colorado State men's basketball here on the program. Kristen, how are you? Good to have you back again.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet week, I guess, for the Colorado State women's basketball team. They got a great win on the road against San Diego State on Wednesday night, 56-51, but then followed it up with a home loss to Wyoming, 74-55 on Saturday. Let's start with the good. Let's start with the San Diego State game. And
can we stay on the good?
Yeah, we can talk about the San Diego State game for the entire half hour if you want.
That's okay. We got to give it both airtime, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, we could talk more about San Diego State because that is not an easy place to go down and win. And you guys went and did just that against a team that played in the Sweet 16 last year.
Yeah, they have 3 starters back from that team and very strong inside game. We were very concerned, obviously, because we don't have the depth there. That's obviously a weakness for us, but it was just a really gutty performance by our players. We started out very, very well offensively. They jumped out on us, just tried to pressure us. I'm sure they have looked at our past and our turnovers, although I just looked up our stats. In the last, I think it's 6 games, we're only averaging 15 turnovers a game, which is 5 less than what we were prior to that. So the turnovers have come down, and it's made a big difference. But team, we faced a lot of adversity in that game at San Diego State. Sam had 2 fouls in the first half, had to sit her. She scored some big buckets for us at the end of the game, but it was just playing with a small lineup and their bigs. You know, Paris Johnson is a tremendous rebounder and scorer in the paint, and we were able to keep her down and just did a nice job.
Yeah, San Diego State, we talked a little bit about them last week, and the fact that they're a sub-500 team this year after a season in which they go to the Sweet 16. They bring back the 3 players that you mentioned from last year. It's just having a hard time putting a finger on why exactly they're struggling so much. After you've seen them now in person, have you drawn any conclusions?
Well, they're not real disciplined, and they don't get the ball inside probably as much as they should. And they were casting off threes quite a bit, which was fine with us.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that they're a high turnover team. I think they had 21 in that game, and just probably are not making the best decisions. And but boy, talent-wise, as good as anybody. I mean, I know Coach Burns has said they don't have guards, but I think they have 2 or 3 really good guards that, they've got a transfer from Arizona that's 6'1", and just a really nice-looking player, averages about 13 a game. She's a sophomore, so, you're kind of waiting for them to come on at some point, because I really think those kids, they act bored, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's play now, and that's kind of what they did last season. So maybe that's what these kids are thinking will happen again.
Well, it's got to drive you nuts, though, as a head coach. If you're Beth Burns, you're probably pulling your hair out.
Like I said before, they played Air Force, and it was the worst effort I'd seen out of a team in a long, long time. And they just, but then they can play well, and they play, TCU close, or it's just they're a bizarre team. It would be hard to coach that.
So, again, the Rams get that 56-51 victory, and it put them to 5-3 in Mountain West Conference play. And the 5 wins, the most wins in the Mountain West for, how many years now? 5, 6 years, perhaps?
We won 5 last year.
You won, so you matched the win total of last year.
Yeah. And we've got 7 games to go. So
7 more to go with a plethora of home games too.
Yes, 4 of the 7 are at home. So but we do have some tough ones at home. But we just got to keep getting better and finish this thing strong. Again,
it's a big win on Wednesday night. We'll talk more about that contest. Talk about some individual performances in that game as well. But first, timeout. You're listening to the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show live from Fort Collins on the Colorado State Sports Network. Well, welcome back here to the Beach House Grill. We're in Old Town Fort Collins for the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show as we talk Colorado State women's basketball here in the opening half hour of the program with Rams head coach Kristen Holt. Again, the Rams get that win against San Diego State on Wednesday night, 56-51, and happened to catch some of the radio post-game driving home from Moby Arena in Fort Collins here after the men played San Diego State. And you had told Matt Wozniak that your kids went out there and executed the game plan to perfection.
Yeah.
What was the game plan? And that has to make you feel great as a coach when you can say that after a contest.
Well, we talked a lot about our zone with our kids and how we were going to play their bigs and not allowing them to come down the floor and just plan on the block and get us buried deep into the paint. I thought, any kid, whether it was Haley or Kim or Bonnie or Sam, did a nice job. And our guards were tremendous in that game in that they just, they helped out inside. They were able to get steals. They anticipated really well. And I thought defensively we were very, very solid. And then offensively just had some key moments where we could have very well lost the game. I mean, we had led the whole game, and then they went up by 3. I don't know how much time was left. It seemed like eternity, but maybe 8-minute mark. And, we just hung in there. And Sam airballed a shot on the baseline, which she normally hits, and came right back. I think it was 2 possessions later, and sinks it. And from then on, we just we just took over and finished it off. Mix and Chantel hit their free throws. I think we missed 1 of our last 5 or 6. And we had a lot of challenges, not only with fouls, but there were some calls that we didn't get, and so it was tough. But we found a way, and the kids were really pumped up on the bench and timeouts. They were really involved and really wanted this game. Yeah,
I guess fouls at one point in the second half were 8-1. You guys have been whistled for 8, and San Diego State had only been whistled for 1. And I think anybody that has gone to a women's basketball game knows that you don't get on the officials too often. I mean, certainly you're going to have points of emphasis with them every now and then, but you don't. But somebody told me that Kristen Holt was pretty fired up with the officials on Wednesday night.
I was. I just said, do you have something against me? What's going on here? But yeah, I think there's a strategy with the officials, too, because out of frustration you can say a lot of mean things, and I've tried that, and that doesn't work. And then there's also, you can ask them, ask what's going on, what did we do wrong? And it's kind of a lot of psychology going on that you don't really want to have to do during a game, but it's part of it. And Dick gets warned quite a bit, which takes my firepower away.
That Dick gets warned?
Yeah.
I've never seen
Dick. I don't think Taylor's been warned. No. Dick
Lean and Taylor Steven, the 2 assistant coaches. Yeah, Dick is always up barking at the officials.
Yeah, and he doesn't say a lot, but whatever he says must really get him.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Dick has seen a lot of basketball in his time, and I'm just going to venture to guess that he's a little more astute when it comes to the game than about 95% of the officials in the Mountain West Conference. I can't get fined for that, can I?
Oh, no, we might want to change the subject.
All right, that's right. I hope the commissioner, Greg Thompson, isn't listening. So just kidding. Anyway, the Rams get the 56-51 win, and you mentioned that Sam Martin got into a little bit of foul trouble, but it looks like Kim Mestog really stepped up for you. 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals for Mestog.
Yeah, she was solid in that game and hitting from everywhere on the floor, which when she's doing that, we're good. And it gives our team confidence, and she was off to a great start, and we're real proud of the way she played.
Yeah, Kim averaging 16.5 points per contest so far on the season. So with the win, the Rams went to 12-9, 5-3 in conference play, and set up a big matchup with Wyoming on Saturday. We'll talk about that game with the Pokes when we come back here to the Beach House Grill in Fort Collins for the CSU Basketball Coaches Show from Nelligan Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, a couple more segments left here to talk some women's basketball here on the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show. Got some of the Ram cheerleaders in the house. That's always a fun time wearing their pink here tonight. A great audience here as well. And Colorado State women taking on Wyoming here this past Saturday, and we'll talk about that with Coach Kristen Holt here. And I know we won't spend too much time on it, but Wyoming got you pretty good up in Laramie to open up conference play back in January. Were your kids good? Let me ask you this. You lose by 20, but do you feel like your kids came out and had that game in the back of their mind, and when things started to go wrong, maybe said, oh, boy, here we go again with Wyoming? Or did you sense and see something else?
Well, I mean, there probably was a little bit of that. I thought overall we got off to a pretty good start, and Sam was really hot right off the bat. I think she hit the first two or three buckets, and but we didn't have an answer for Vandiver. That doesn't mean that we won't if we play them again, but we didn't get that figured out, and it's execution. It's just. She scored everywhere on the floor. She scored on the block a lot. Watching the film, she got quite a few offensive rebounds and putbacks. She's very strong, smart player, good player. But the typical play of the game was we had her trapped on the baseline with two of our little guards, and she found somebody out on the three-point line, and they hit a three. That was kind of the way the game felt at times. We had some good hustle plays in the second half, but we'd run into each other. There are just some things that we didn't execute very well, but they're a good team. I said that after the game. They're a very good team, and I think we could play better. I didn't think that was necessarily our best effort game, but it is what it is.
Were you expecting your team to play better coming off a big road win on Wednesday night?
Well, you hope you can kind of ride that momentum, because it really was San Diego State win was really a really good win for us. I sometimes wonder if our kids recognize why we've been winning and what got us where we are, and hey, let's not deviate from that. And you'd think that your kids would know that, and we've got to remind them. And this week we're reminding them and getting them refocused for our next game. But there were just some things that we normally we're a pretty good rebounding team as far as boxing out, and we weren't. And I think when Vandiver just kept hitting and hitting, some of the kids that were assigned to her didn't have as much grit as I would have liked to seen, and because we never ask them to play behind her. We always want to try to front her, get in front, and make them go over the top and have some help side defense. And we talked about trapping her. I mean, there were a lot of different things that we were supposed to be doing that we didn't do, and so that that's a little bit of frustration, but we learn from it, and we dig in and we fight back.
Yeah, Aubrey Vandiver, again, 35 points. It was a career high for the Wyoming guard. She had 11 rebounds. And seems like she has been around forever.
I know. I think 6 years or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and I think she had medical hardship for one of the years, but she's a solid player. I know, averaging about 17 points a game. And with the way Wyoming's playing right now, is she not one of the top 3 or 4 candidates for Mountain West Conference Player of the Year?
Well, I'll tell you, to me, she's the best offensive player in the league. Not just because of the 35. I probably would have said that before the game. Just very deceptive, and when you watch her, she can really shoot it, but she's not real fast, but she's her strength, and she just knows the game and finds people, passes well, just very court savvy, and she goes back on defense, and I wouldn't say she's always guarding the opponent's toughest player, but that's where surrounding her with people that can. Richardson, who can pick up Kim Mestog and chase her all over the floor, that allows her to maybe rest a little bit so that she can do what she's good at.
Yeah, and one of the surprising numbers that jumped out, you mentioned the rebounding numbers, and it was heavily in favor of the Cowgirls. But, you talk about taking care of the basketball. That's a big key for you guys. You only had 10 turnovers in that game.
I know. I mean, that might have been the one bright spot of that game. That was very good. But one thing I do want to say about Vandiver is she averages 9 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just she's just got a nose for the ball, and she's just a very good player.
What is she? 5'10"? 5'11", if
yeah,
that?
5'10", 5'11".
I mean, it's not like she's a 6'2" guard or something that really crashes the boards too. So,
right.
Vandiver is certainly one of the top players in the league. Again, Wyoming won it on Saturday, 74-55. Kim Mestog went for 18 points to pace the Rams. Haley Thompson had 13, and Sam Martin had 12. A couple of true freshmen at second and third there in scoring.
Yeah, the thing that we've got to work with Sam on, and we have. I mean, but she's got to get to this point is. she started out really well and made some really tough moves, both halves. But they started doubling down on her, and she put the ball on the floor and had some turnovers, had them tie it up, and some freshman mistakes. But she has got to want the ball and get the ball and look to score more than what she is. And you know, sometimes you, as a coach, I've told her that, but they've got to develop in that too, and that's just part of the maturity of just having the confidence to do it, because she can score it. She's got nice post moves and shoots it very well from the perimeter, and that's just something we're developing her.
Let me ask you one more thing about the freshmen, because you know, Haley Thompson and Sam Martin, they played high school basketball last year. I guess in Sam's case she didn't because she was hurt, but now here you get going in game 23, 24, 25 of the season. They're playing a lot of minutes, and you're playing them a ton. Do you worry about them getting wore down as you get into this back half of conference play?
Well, this is our bye week, and we've given them Sunday and today off, and we'll start back in tomorrow. You know, that's something that we've had to kind of battle all year, is taking care of their legs. And you know, if injuries and having your team down to 8 eligible players, I mean, that affects things. That it just affects practice. You know, we bring in practice guys. Well, the problem with practice guys is they're so much faster, quicker, and stronger. We tell them to be girl quick.
Girl quick.
Girl quick, because you know, they can fly around and they can beat us anytime they want, and that's not realistic.
Yeah.
So you know, you don't want your kids to be so tentative that they, you know, because they practice that way, that they don't go in. And I think at times that's why we have started games like that, because we practiced against guys for 3 days, and well, they don't feel like they can go around them, and so they start just passing it on the perimeter. So it's just little things like that, you know, really do affect the way your team operates.
Yeah.
Girl quick. Remember that.
I think Danny Matei has some girl quicks in him.
Yeah.
Danny, one of the sports information department here at Colorado State. Yeah, Danny, he's girl quick, I think. So,
yeah.
All right, we'll take a timeout. Again, the Rams who have the bye midweek, but they'll get New Mexico down at the Pit coming up here on Saturday. We'll talk about that with Coach Kristen Holt from Nelligan Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, one final segment here to talk CSU women's basketball. Back here live at the Beach House Grill in Old Town, Fort Collins. Brian Roth and women's basketball coach Kristen Holt. Colorado State 12-10 now on the season. They're 5-4 in Mountain West Conference play, and they're tied with Utah for the 4th spot there in the MWC. We mentioned earlier in the program the 5 wins already here in conference play equals the 5 wins throughout the duration of conference play last year. Well, you get New Mexico down at the Pit coming up on Saturday, and the Rams knocked off the Lobos earlier this year, last month in January, 71-60. First, let's talk about the Pit, because that's not an easy place to go down and play, and they usually draw the best out of any Mountain West Conference team.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play. I don't remember the last time that our program has won at the Pit.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But you know, we're anxious to play this game. It's a team that we beat first time around. I think they're improved since then. They have some good players. I just don't think they've really gelled and put it together. And but I don't believe they're a team, even though they're tied for last with 3 other teams, that they're going to end up there. I think they're better than that, and so it'll be a tough game for us.
They're 8-12, 2-6 in conference, and I've covered the women's game here at CSU in the Mountain West for a long time, as you know, Kristen. I've never seen that record next to the name New Mexico women's basketball.
No, it's not something that they've had to deal with too much. Very successful program. You know, I think it's, when I talk about this a lot, mentality and momentum. They played Oklahoma, who's ranked in the top 20. They played them to, I think, a 3-point game back in December. So, you know, it's a team that just kind of trying to find their way. And like I said, I don't think they're a team that's going to finish at the bottom of this conference. Yeah,
they knocked off Air Force last week at the Pit 64-59. And that was a game, I don't know if you saw the box score or anything like that. That was a game that Air Force probably should have won. Air Force was up by 7 with under 5 minutes to go and kind of wilted down the stretch under the pressure that the Pit will certainly put on the opposing team. But that's an Air Force team that nearly went down there and won.
Oh, yeah. That's you know, I haven't had the chance to watch that game to really see what happened. But you know, you also have to say Air Force has done a good job and has really improved their program. But you know, we're going to have to. I remember the first time around, we rebounded really well in that game, and that's to me going to be one of the biggest keys is being able to not just defensively rebound, but we're just not getting many offensive rebounds, and you can't get O boards if you're not there. And I mean, watching the film, our kids are not crashing the boards like they need to, and we've just got to get in there and try to get some extra possessions.
All right, let's talk injuries as we wrap it up here. Poudre Valley Health System, proud to be the exclusive healthcare sponsor of Ram Athletics. They're proud to state that when you need medical care, they're here for you. For more information, visit pvhs.org. Zoe Simmons, any closer to coming back?
She's
point guard? No.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's. I hate to say when because she's not running full speed yet or in practice, and so. It's probably not going to happen this week. And then Kelly, same thing. I think she's going to get checked out by the doctor this week to kind of see where she's at. Hopefully she can throw those crutches away and start using the muscles a little bit.
Yeah, we'd like to see 10 players on the bench for you
nice.
into a given game. I know that is. All right, well, hey, thanks so much, Kristen. Go down there and sweep the Lobos at the bit, all right?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
CSU women's basketball coach Kristen Holt here on the program. We'll take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll talk some men's hoops with Tim Miles. From Elegant Sports, it's the Colorado State Sports Network.